Christian Horner joining Aston Martin as team principal could be the most logical move in Formula One right now, and why Adrian Newey is doing everything he can to stop it from happening. Aston Martin is in freefall. 2 rounds into the 2026 season and both cars have failed to finish either race, with the Honda power unit crippled by vibration problems so severe that Fernando Alonso told media he was struggling to feel his hands and his feet from lap 20 to lap 35 during the Chinese Grand Prix. Onboard footage captured him lifting both hands off the steering wheel on the straights just to shake them out for momentary relief. Lawrence Stroll put his tolerance at a maximum of 15 consecutive laps before the numbness set in, and before the Australian Grand Prix even started, Adrian Newey himself warned that the vibrations risk causing permanent damage to the nerves in the driver's hands. The root cause traces back to a flaw Honda failed to detect in dyno testing. Their 2026 power unit splits the battery and control electronics into 2 tiers, and the vibration patterns from the V6 engine turned out to be far worse in real-world conditions than anything the simulations predicted. Honda's Koji Watanabe admitted they expected some vibration, but that the actual values exceeded expectations. What that means in practice is Honda cannot deploy electrical energy effectively and runs out of deployment on long straights at a far more dramatic rate than rivals, which forces the team to turn down engine modes and increase fuel load, costing them enormous amounts of performance. Making the situation worse, Honda arrived at the Australian Grand Prix carrying only 4 batteries total, 2 per car. 2 of those failed within the first hour of Friday practice, leaving just 1 battery per car for the rest of the weekend. That is already a disturbing double DNF at both rounds. This is the environment into which Aston Martin needs a leader, and the man currently holding the team principal title does not want it. Newey accepted the role in November 2025 almost by default when Andy Cowell was moved aside after clashing with him over the team's technical direction. His own words tell you everything. The position was vacant. He was going to be at the early races anyway, and he figured he might as well pick it up. But design work is what gets him out of bed in the morning, and he has been open about his determination not to dilute his focus on it. At the Australian Grand Prix, he handled press conferences and trackside leadership, but sources described him as appearing uneasy and struggling to project authority. By the Chinese Grand Prix, he was not even present, choosing instead to work remotely from Silverstone while Mike Crack took over. Spanish journalist Antonio Lobato stated publicly that there is a lack of leadership at Aston Martin and that Newey does not act as team principal. German outlet Sport 1 reported that Lawrence Stroll realizes appointing Newey to the role was a mistake, and ESPN confirmed that the plan was always for Newey's stint as team boss to be temporary. Newey himself is leading the search for his own replacement. So the team needs someone who can walk into a crisis, command a room, manage sponsors, handle the media, navigate FIA politics, and project confidence while the engineering operation sorts out its problems. That description fits one person better than anyone else available. Christian Horner spent 20 years as team principal and CEO of Red Bull Racing after being appointed in January 2005 at the age of 31, making him the youngest team principal in Formula One history. Over the next 2 decades, he oversaw 6 Constructors' Championships, 8 Drivers' Championships, 124 Grand Prix victories, and more than 287 podium finishes. The team he built dominated from 2010 to 2013 with Sebastian Vettel, and then he rebuilt it into the force that delivered 4 consecutive titles to Max Verstappen from 2021 to 2024. That 2023 season under his leadership produced one of the most dominant campaigns in the sport's history, winning 21 of 22 races with Verstappen and Perez finishing first and second in the drivers' standings, a first for Red Bull. His departure from Red Bull came on the 9th of July 2025, when he was relieved of duties with immediate effect, 2 days after the British Grand Prix. Oliver Mintzlaff made the decision with Helmut Marko advising, driven by declining team performance, the aftermath of a 2024 investigation into his conduct from which he was cleared twice, and the departure of key personnel including Newey and Jonathan Wheatley. Horner officially left in September 2025 after agreeing a settlement, and in Drive to Survive he admitted he feels a real sense of loss and hurt, and that it was all rather sudden. But Horner has made it clear he wants to come back. At the European Motor Show in Dublin in early February 2026, he broke his public silence and stated that he feels like he has unfinished business in Formula One. He is not going to come back for just anything, and he is only going to come back for something that can win. He also specified that he would want to be a partner rather than just a hired hand. That language matters because Aston Martin has already demonstrated a willingness to offer equity to key personnel. Newey joined as managing technical partner and became a minority shareholder, which means the structure already exists for Horner to come in as a stakeholder with real ownership, exactly what he wants. The relationship between Horner and Newey adds another layer to all of this. The two worked together at Red Bull for approximately 18 to 19 years, and their personal relationship was strained during the 2024 investigation when Newey's wife Amanda publicly criticized Horner. But since both men left Red Bull, the relationship has reportedly repaired. ESPN reported that they recently attended an Oasis concert together with their wives, and multiple outlets say they have dinner together and attend events regularly. Lawrence Stroll is clearly interested. BBC journalist Andrew Benson reported on the 19th of March 2026 that Horner met with Stroll that week, and Sky Sports reported that Horner was offered a stakeholding and a leadership role alongside Newey at some point. ESPN reported that sources closer to Horner have suggested a link-up with Aston Martin is not completely off the table. All of this represents a dramatic shift from the Qatar Grand Prix in November 2025, when Stroll told Aston Martin employees that Horner would absolutely not be joining in any capacity. But that was before the 2026 season meltdown changed everything. And yet Newey is blocking the move. BBC's Andrew Benson reported that Newey is opposed to Horner joining Aston Martin and prefers Jonathan Wheatley instead. Wheatley spent 18 years at Red Bull as team manager and then sporting director, contributing to 6 constructors and 8 drivers' championships and over 120 Grand Prix wins. He left Audi with immediate effect on the 20th of March 2026 and is widely reported as the front-runner, with Newey personally endorsing him and reportedly leading the recruitment. Sky Sports stated that should Wheatley become team principal, it would end any prospect of Christian Horner joining Aston Martin. On the 20th of March 2026, Lawrence Stroll released an official statement reaffirming Newey's role and framing the absence of a traditional team principal as being by design. He called Newey his partner and an important shareholder and stated the team does things differently, while also noting that Aston Martin is regularly approached by senior executives of other teams who wish to join, but that the team does not comment on rumor and speculation. That statement reads like a man keeping his options open while the situation remains fluid. The arguments against Horner are real. The 2024 investigation left reputational residue that could attract renewed scrutiny. 3 dominant personalities in Stroll, Newey, and Horner could create a volatile power dynamic, and Horner cannot begin working until the end of April 2026 at the earliest due to his gardening leave. But the arguments in his favor may carry more weight. No available candidate matches his record, his ambition aligns with Stroll's championship vision, the equity model he wants already exists, and the Alpine investment opportunity he has been pursuing may be slipping away with Mercedes emerging as a competing bidder for the same stake. Whether it happens comes down to one question. Does Lawrence Stroll listen to Adrian Newey, his partner and shareholder who opposes the move, or does he make the call that his billions in investment demand the most proven leader available? The Japanese Grand Prix at the end of this month, where a crisis meeting between Honda and Aston Martin is expected, could be the moment that forces the decision. If you found this breakdown useful, leave your thoughts in the comments and let us know if you think bringing Horner will turn things around. And make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss any updates as this story develops.